I'm sure the Prime Minister and the whole House would wish to congratulate Donald Trump on his landslide victory last week. Is that
Hold on. I will hear the question. Nigel.
Thank you. But within a couple of days, we'd learned of a third assassination attempt. Charges have been laid, and behind it are Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Has the time not come, Prime Minister, to prescribe what is so obviously a terrorist organisation, and in doing so, not just do the right thing, but maybe mend some fences between this government and the incoming presidency of Donald Trump's, given that the whole of his cabinet have been so rude about him over the last few years?
In this electrifying moment of a live interview, Nigel Farage dramatically shifted the direction of the conversation, leaving the seasoned British presenter utterly stunned. What began as an attempt to corner Farage quickly transformed into a striking display of his keen political acumen and self-assurance, momentarily leaving the presenter at a loss for words and igniting a whirlwind of debate in the political sphere. The stage was set for a tense showdown. The presenter had prepared pointed questions, eager to implicate Farage in his supposed connections with Donald Trump and his controversial views on UK-US relations. However, Farage, renowned for his quick thinking and resilience, was more than ready for this challenge, poised to defy all expectations.
How much is this you wanting desperately to be the UK ambassador in Washington?
Well, it's not going to happen, is it?
But how much is this about that?
No. I am not going to be the ambassador, even though Trump would love it. I never disclose private conversations I have with Donald Trump. That's why he likes me and trusts me. But I have spoken to very senior members of his incoming cabinet team, and
So Marco Rubio, people like that.
They are horrified.
Horrified?
Horrified.
Why?
Because they know that China has extraordinary naval ambitions. We see that literally every month in the South China Sea as they encroach on new territories, they try and reclaim atolls. And the trouble with this deal is, well, number one, it's totally unnecessary, but and there is no basis in international law that we have to do this that stands up. But the worry is that it's a 99-year lease.
When questioned about his public appearances with Trump, he confidently reminded the audience of the geopolitical risks, emphasizing that a robust partnership between the UK and the US is essential, particularly in light of escalating global tensions. This approach left the presenter struggling to regain control of the conversation, and each time he attempted to divert the discussion, he was met with the steadfast Farage, who consistently redirected the dialogue back to his key points. It was a genuine battle of wits, and Farage was clearly gaining the advantage, like a knight in an arena, ready to face any challenge. The tone of the conversation shifted dramatically when the host inquired about Farage's stance on British foreign policy, claiming that he prioritizes the interests of the United States over those of his own country. However, rather than adopting a defensive stance, Farage, as a true strategist, seized the moment to outmaneuver his opponent, calling attention to the shortcomings of the current British leadership. In that instant, it became clear that Farage was not merely defending his beliefs, he was taking on the entire system.
Well, I'm glad to see the honourable member making a rare appearance back here in Britain. He spent so much time in America recently. I was half expecting to see him on the immigration statistics when we see the next batch. But he may have missed. I did congratulate the incoming president last week. And we will work with him. The point he makes about Iran is a very serious point, and we will work across the House and with our allies on it, obviously on question of prescription.
His composure established the tone for the interview, clearly signaling to the audience that he was not there to make excuses, but to seize complete control of the situation. Before long, the conversation reached a boiling point. One of the initial attempts to corner Farage revolved around his relationship with Donald Trump. The presenter, hinting at hidden motives, asked whether Farage intended to become the British ambassador to the United States under the Trump administration. However, Farage's response was swift and resolute. He emphasized that Trump's policies benefit both nations, steering clear of speculation while firmly stating his position. The bond between the UK and the USA is too important to be subjected to political games. In that moment, it became clear that Farage was not merely defending his opinions, he was championing a future brimming with opportunities and collaboration.
Right, so we have to not upset Donald Trump.
We have to be an ally to Donald Trump. And allies,
does that mean...
Allies don't betray the military of the United States, without which we would be defenceless.
But why is it betraying? Joe Biden's administration agreed to this, the UK government agreed to this, the Mauritian government agreed to this.
Now, hang on a second. You know, Joe Biden's administration, on the way out, raised no objections. I didn't hear any warm words of encouragement. And it was perfectly obvious that the Trump administration would view this in a very negative light.
Do you see your role as representing the interests of the incoming Trump administration now?
I'd like to avoid World War III. That's quite a big consideration for me.
But the question is, do you see your role as representing them?
He confidently asserted that Britain's reliance on the United States for defense and trade made it essential to uphold a strong alliance. In his view, leaders like Keir Starmer, who maintain strained relations with America, jeopardize not only national security, but also the country's economic stability. His speech was meticulously crafted to help the audience understand that there is far more at stake than mere politics. Throughout the interview, social media erupted with comments. Platforms like X were inundated with messages praising Farage's ability to stay calm and composed under pressure, as if he were a captain skillfully navigating his ship through a tempest. Even his critics were hesitant to acknowledge that he had outsmarted the presenter at every turn, leaving him without any counter-arguments. One user remarked, "Like it or not, Farage just delivered a masterclass on maintaining composure under stress." Another added, "We need more politicians who can communicate with such clarity and confidence."
No, my role is to represent people who voted for me here. My role, above all, is to protect British interests. Yes, I've spent half my life in America. I work for American companies. You know, I've lived many, many months, if not years of my life in America. All that is true. But no, my first responsibility and the commitment of my heart is, of course, to our country. And I know without a good military relationship with America, we are in very big trouble.
I've got to ask you, how much is this you wanting desperately to be the UK ambassador in Washington?
Well, it's not going to happen, is it? You know,
but how much is this about?
No. I am not going to be the ambassador. Even though Trump would love it, it isn't going to happen. That's the gift of the incoming Labour government. I just hope they think outside the box and choose somebody that can actually get into that Oval Office and have a straight conversation with Trump and those around him.
People have been speaking about him so harshly in recent years, and it's impossible not to feel the emotions surrounding it. Farage's speech during the interview was not merely an attempt to win a debate. It was a bold challenge to the political status quo. He positioned himself as a leader willing to confront difficult issues head-on, sharply contrasting with the evasiveness and uncertainty of other politicians. The Post attempted to shift the focus, defending Keir Starmer and suggesting that Farage's criticisms were unfounded. However, Farage, as a true strategist, seized this opportunity to outmaneuver his opponent, highlighting Starmer's glaring weaknesses. He pointed out Starmer's lack of determination and his inability to address the pressing issues facing the UK. This was not just a statement, it was a rallying cry that compelled the audience to reflect on the future of the country.
What I want to do, and I have actually, been in touch with the Labour government, and I've said, totally sincerely, that if I can be useful, given not just that Trump's a friend, but half the incoming cabinet are friends that I've known for many, many years, if I can be a bridge in any way at all to do things that act in my national interest, even though I don't support anything the Labour government stand for, I would do that.
Does it feel like you're already doing the UK AMBO job?
Well, if I can, I'm trying to be helpful.
By contrasting his decisive approach with Starmer's perceived weaknesses, Farage confidently positioned himself as a more capable and formidable leader. This move was not merely a tactic. It was a heartfelt appeal to disillusioned voters seeking genuine, strong leadership. He didn't just defend his accomplishments. His party is swiftly gaining traction, securing seats in local elections and emerging as a true alternative to outdated traditional political parties. This momentum inspires hope and belief in the possibility of change. See you next time.